Hey, good afternoon and blessings, everybody out there. It's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Listen, super excited to be coming to you on this grand old Sunday afternoon. And I want to take this time to thank each one of you, and yes, you that took time to wish me a happy birthday here. Look good for 105 years old is what people kept saying that follow me on social media. But I'm truly grateful to yet be here, be in the land of the living one more time, as the old folk will say. Well, listen, came to get on you. It's really cold here in the metropolitan city of Covington, and so I'm getting ready to take it to the highs. But I really wanted to get on here because, again, my whole thing is this. Again, the at the end of the day, Generational Wealth Builders is here to help you. It's here to help you and your family in poverty, right? And I know a lot of time people hear that, they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But no, we're here to help you in poverty. And the way you end poverty is by, one, arming yourself with information about tools, resources, and products that are actually going to help you be able to save, grow, and make money. Because remember, at the end of the day, most of us work for the fact to be able to take care of our families. The things that we do so that we can take care of our families. And so with that being said, we want to make sure that you are armed properly so that the work that you do, the money that you make, and listen to me, I'm gonna make a bold statement here. I don't care how much money you're making. If you do it right, that money will be able to allow you to have a wealthy life. You'll be able to live comfortable. You won't have to worry about things, but you've got to do it right. So either way, that's my statement. That's what I want to say. I'm getting a little older now, so I feel like I have to kind of monologue into what I'm talking about today. So I titled this one today as "You Need to Have Your Own Business," and I'm going to tell you why. So on Saturday or Friday or whatever, I'm getting ready for work or I'm getting ready to do something, right? And I hear an article being played on the TV. And, we're here in the Memphis area. And when I hear this article, I almost want to pass out, man, because again, here it is. We're just in January, right? We just hit January. And what do we hear? That a company in Memphis is going to lay off over 200 workers, right? Just coming into January. And what they're saying is by May 6th is when they're going to start the layoffs. And by the April of 27th, all of the layoffs will have taken place. Now, folks, that kind of messed me up a little bit, right? Because I'm like, wait a minute, bro, we just got into the new year, right? We've heard all this talk, on TV and from, certain administrations talking about how strong the job market is, and yet and still 200 folk in the Memphis, Tennessee area are being laid off. And again, we know that that's a problem, right? Because you never want to see anybody lose their home, never want to see anybody lose their job and things of that nature. And so sometimes people are like, well, that's just an isolated event. That's just an isolated event. Well, guess what? It really ain't an isolated event because here we go. Notice now, Amazon, Google, Duolingo, they're cutting jobs as well, right? Like yada mighty, right? They're cutting jobs just like that. You know what I mean? And here we go again. It's like, well, wait a minute, man. What the world? And they're looking here at the numbers, and this is what they're saying. As a result, and this from last year to now, what they're saying is more than 305,000 people have lost their job last year due to layoffs, right? How can you say you're having a strong economy and people are being laid off? And I won't go into that. That's not what this meeting is all about. But then I wanted to see, okay, what's one of the sectors that's really taking a punch as far as layoffs? And notice the tech sector is the one that's being laid off. And part of the reason why that's being laid off, those folks are being laid off, is because they're bringing in AI, they're bringing in automation to do repetitive tasks that normally people would do, but now they're hiring the AI to do it. So bada boom, bada bing. But again, I'm not here to even talk about that because again, I'm not one that just brings up the problem. I'm one that wants to focus more so on solutions. So why am I saying this today? What we want to help make sure that you are able to do is that you're prepared as best as you can be in case the market that you're a part of, the market that you're working in, we want to make sure that you're prepared for your family to still be taken care of, where you can have minimal amount of interruption to your lifestyle, right? That's what we want to make sure of. And that's why we titled this one today, You Need to Have Your Own Business, right? And so depending on, right, let's just say it like this here. If you are living off of one income, then you really have a recipe for disaster. And listen, I'm talking about even if it's a husband and wife, right? If y'all just have one income, that's a recipe for disaster. You need a side hustle. You need a side business, right? Why am I saying that? Because again, you don't know if tomorrow when you go clock in, they're going to say, listen, thanks for all your support, but we're closing down. Thanks for all your support because of the economy. We're having to ship jobs overseas. We're having to outsource your work. You've been replaced by AI, right? You don't know that. And so you want to make sure that if that does happen, you want to make sure that your family, that you don't have to go into scramble mode. That again, you don't have to worry, oh, Lordy, what am I going to do? You don't have to go and take a job or work 2 and 3 jobs to try to replace one income, right? You want to make sure that you have your own business. Now, I'll go ahead and put this out here, and this is a bit personal for me, but there was a time this past year when I walked away from a job. It was a great job. It was a great job. And again, really nothing bad to say about the job. It's just that I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm not finna do what they're asking me to do, right? That's my choice. Because it was miserable. I was getting miserable. I was to the point I was being miserable. And nobody should be on a job and be miserable, right? Nobody likes that person on the job that's miserable, right? So I walked away from this job. However, because I had generational wealth builders, my family kept on keeping on. I was literally able to walk away from a 6-figure job and still my family not miss a beat. Y'all saw us. We were still traveling. We were still having a good time. All of that, right? So I'm saying that to say there is a measure of freedom in having your own business. And what better time to get started than now, working on your financial freedom? Because again, if you don't prepare now, you'll be forced to try to prepare later. And when you try to prepare later, that's when it'll be scarce and it'll be kind of rough to kind of get in there and get going. So with that being said, because I'm going to keep this short today, and y'all know I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. If I say I'm going to keep it short, I'm trying to keep it short, right? So here we go. There are a couple things that you need to focus on as it relates to making sure that, again, when you have your own business, you'll be able to take care of your family, God forbid, if anything should happen. Because here we go again. I'm not even going to say that if the job goes away, what if you get sick, right? What if something happens, right? God forbid, but if something happens, you still need to take care of your family. So here's the first thing that you need to do in order to prepare to try to weather this climate, right? Because right now we don't know. And if you read some of the economists, some economists like, oh, yeah, it's going to be great and all this, that, and the other because the Fed is getting ready to lower interest rates. Well, guess what they have to do in order to lower interest rates? In order to lower interest rate, they literally have to they have to take some of the money out of the system. And that's another reason why you see so many jobs closing down. They got to take money out of the system because right now there's too much money in the system. And as a result of there being too much money doesn't have the same value. I hope that makes sense, right? So let me make it like this because I always want you to understand, right? So if you have 10 iPhones, right, and just 10 iPhones, you can charge what you want to charge for those iPhones, right? Because again, if somebody wants that iPhone because you only have 10, you could put your price tag on there. Either they pay for it or they don't, right? Because there's a thing called scarcity, right? Scarcity meaning if the less of it is, the more valuable it is, right? And so the same thing works with money. So if you have 10 iPhones, you can write the ticket for wherever you want them to be, right? Now, but let's say you have 1 million iPhones. Guess what? Now you can't put the price tag on there like you would with the 10. Does that make sense? Because there's no scarcity. There's an abundance of the iPhones out there. And by there being abundance of the iPhones out there, people are kind of take it or leave it, right? Or they may go to something else altogether, right? Now, that's the same thing with money. And that's another reason why we have inflation. So what the Feds are doing, the Federal Reserve, which really is not a federal entity, so you might want to go look that up for yourself. I don't even know why they call it the Federal Reserve. But again, I'm not going in there because I'm not trying to get canceled. Not today. But here's the thing. what you must understand is that the Federal Reserve, in order for them to reduce the interest rate, they got to suck some of that money out of there. What money you talking about? Y'all remember that stimulus money? Y'all remember that stimulus money that folk were getting, right, and taking trips on and everything? And they were like, yeah, man, it's all good in the hood and all this, that, and other. Well, they've got to get that money back out of the system, right? And so, again, it's just made everything worse. But again, I'm not trying to go there. I promise you I'm not. But it's stuff that's all in my head. But what's happened is the cost of everything is going up. So now you're putting more money into the system. But the thing is, you're not getting more of what you had with the increased cost. So in order for them to regulate that, now they're snatching the money out. Now, hopefully this should bring the inflation down, but there's no guarantee that it will. All right. So I want you to understand that, because that'll help make a little bit more sense as I get ready to go into these 3 points. Now, the first point is you need to have an emergency fund. You need to have at least 6 months of your bill money put somewhere, whether you got it under the mattress, whether you have it in a safe, whether you have it in a bank account, right? You need to have at least 6 months of your bill money somewhere tucked away. Why is that? Because you want to make sure that you have 6 months to be able to sustain yourself, whether that's car notes, rent, light bill, cell phone bill, all of that. 6 months of your bill money. So if you have, I'm just pulling the number here, if your annual bills are $3,000 a month, then you need to have at least $18,000 somewhere in an emergency account. That is 6,000. That's 6 months. I'm sorry, of your 6 months of your monthly income tucked away. So you want to have at least that tucked away, so that, again, if they lay you off, again, you're not just, in crisis and in panic mode and having to jump to your credit card. You got a little cushion, right? So that's why you want to do that. And while I'm talking about that, you also want to make sure that you have some good credit cards on hand as well, right? Because you don't just want to use your cash for everything, but you kind of want to try to bleed it off. The next point I want to talk about, you want to make sure that you have a personal retirement plan. Now, here's what I want you to understand, folks. And the reason why I'm bringing up your personal retirement plan, if you want to make sure that you have a retirement plan that stays with you, that you have control over, that doesn't get caught up if your company gets in bankruptcy or something like that, right? If your company gets caught up in bankruptcy, those funds are employee sponsored, or employer sponsored, so they could very well get caught up in that bankruptcy. So again, that's why you want to make sure that you have a personal retirement plan. And so for those of you all that have, like, hey man, I got all these 401ks here from these other jobs, you might want to put that into a product such as a fixed index annuity, right? Where you take all that money, put it into that fixed index annuity and just let it grow, right? So that's some options to do. But the reason why I brought that one up next is one of the main things people do when they get fired from a job or they lose a job, the first thing they want to do is go and touch their retirement money. And folks, that is the worst thing that you can do. The worst thing you could do in the world is touch your retirement money, because your retirement money is for your future self. Literally what you're doing with your retirement money is you're taking that money, you're setting it to the side, and you're paying your future self, right? Don't cheat your future self. Can y'all do me a favor? Put that in the text for me. Put that in the comments. Say, don't cheat your future self. Don't do that now. Don't do that to yourself, right? Don't do that. Don't take from future Jim Bob for today, right? That money should be off limits. Real talk. You should not be messing with that money, because every time you do, what you're doing is you're interrupting that compound interest. And that compound interest, once you mess it up, it's messed up, right? And so now, and then you're going to take penalties, and especially if it's a 401k, you are going to pay at least 30% on your money in penalties. What I mean by that, if you wanted to get $10,000 out of your 401k, that's going to cost you about $13,000, because you got to pay the 30%, you got to pay the taxes plus the 10% penalty, right? So again, you don't want to mess with your retirement money. That's what takes me back to the credit cards. You want to make sure that your credit is decent enough for you to be able to have a couple of credit cards, right? Now, again, you really don't want to go out there and get no $10,000, $12,000 credit card, unless you're disciplined, right? Because some folks will go out there and buy a car on a credit card, and you know good and well you can't afford that interest rate, right? So don't do that, right? But you always want to have a spare credit card to the side. I have credit card I haven't even touched. Why? Because I don't need them, right? But they're there so that if it hit the fan or whatever the case may be, and I need it, then I can go and use that credit card, and then it gives me a lower payment until I get back on my feet. Does that make sense? So can you see how having your own emergency savings of about 6 months, plus having some credit cards, and again, if you're just making sure that you're kind of tempering your spending, can you see how that will help you be able to navigate that rough time, right? I hope that makes a little sense. Let me get a little bit squig of this water here so I ain't got to keep off in y'all throat. And y'all, let me go viral for drinking this water real quick. Hold on. All right. So now I'm back. All right. And if you like that, give me a like or a thumb. Say, boy, you drunk that water for real. All right. I'm kidding. Now, last point that I'm going to get to today, and I'm going to get out of your way, is this here. You need to have personal life insurance. Personal life insurance. Why? Because when you lose your job, that life insurance does not go with you. It does not. Most people don't know this, but the clients of Generational Wealth Builders know this, that your life insurance policy is a term policy. And that term is only while you're there. Once you leave that company, you no longer get that group discount. You no longer get the discount that you had by being with that company. You do not. And then what happens? Then you have to come to someone like myself or any of these other carriers. And guess what? Now you have to get it at the age where you are, right? So let's put some numbers to that. So let's just say you started working at the age of 18, right? You came straight out of high school and went to working, right? And you worked, I don't know, 40, 50 years, right? And now you're ready to retire. When you get ready to retire, like I said, there's a very small percentage of companies that allow you to keep that life insurance. But again, if your company does not allow you to keep that life insurance, now you don't work 40 years, you're 58 years old. If you come try to get the same amount of life insurance you had beforehand, guess what? You ain't going to get it for what you think you're going to pay for it. And then because now you're closer to retirement, guess what? Now you're closer to retirement. You're not going to be making the kind of money that you were making beforehand. And so now you're going to be like, oh, I can't get enough life insurance, right? So that's why it's critical for you to have a personal life insurance policy. Because again, that personal life insurance policy, you lock it in at that age. And if it's a permanent policy, meaning the IUL, or even if it's a whole life policy, which we really don't like a whole life policy, I can tell you why. That's another video because I got to get out of here. But what we want you all to understand is, at least if you have your own IUL policy, you have built cash value in that policy. And so guess what? When we talk about your emergency fund, guess what? If you've been having that policy for 20, 30, 40 years, guess what? You have now built up your emergency fund because that cash value is in there that you have access to tax-free, and it's not going to pull from your death benefit if you have an IUL. Now, if you have a whole life policy, that's a little sticky icky because it don't work like that. With a whole life policy, that's not your money. That is not your money. And I know there are plenty of people out there that are selling whole life policies to folk, and you know, they're telling folk it's the best thing since sliced bread. Only thing I'll tell you to do is tell them to show you the numbers. Tell them to show you the numbers. Tell them to show you what money is yours. If you borrow it, and you should pass before you pay it back, ask them how much your family gonna give you. I guarantee you that's when they're gonna start showing people. No, see, because hold up, because no, see, because yeah, they're gonna start shuffling papers then, right? Because again, it's not your money. It just really is not. But either way, that's a horse of a whole different color. So you have that personal life insurance policy, especially if it's a cash value policy. Now the cash value that you have built up into it, now you're able to live off of that, right? So again, now you're able to survive. You're able to survive until you're able to get another job. But this brings me to the point of this presentation today, right? The fact of the matter is you want to have your own business, because if you don't have your own business, now you're waiting for someone else to give you the opportunity to come and work for them. And guess what? All them high wages that they were paying, When the pandemic was up, well, guess what they're doing now? Boom, they're bringing them right back down. The more dropping to the floor like we used to do back when Luke would come on. You know what I'm saying? Back in my day, when Luke would come on, we'd be out there on the floor dropping it down, right? And that's what they're doing with these salaries. So people are like, yeah, you got to pay more money. Well, no, and not to be that guy or nothing, but I was telling folk a long time ago about how they were saying how, minimum wage increase and all this, that, and other. I was telling them, don't do it, because again, I'm in business, right? And I know in business, these companies were moving towards automation. So watch me now. When I was over in Kuwait and in Dubai back in 2008, they had those digital kiosks over there already. And their labor rates are cheap over there, but they had that already. And I knew it was only a matter of time before it came here. Because guess what? When you have automation in there, it replaces people, right? Automation ain't going to call in sick, right? Especially now. It's tax time too. Shoot, man, please. Joker already got them taxes done and waiting on the 29th. They waiting on February 1st to get that money, right? Again, I'm not knocking nobody. Y'all know that ain't how I roll. That ain't how I get down. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that automation was already, that plan was already coming, right? And again, Sarah Connor tried to put her down, telling her about Skynet. We didn't listen. And so now you got automation taking jobs. And people listen to politicians talking about, oh, automation ain't going to take your job. Guess what? Automation is taking your job. I just showed you in one of these sheets here that AI, they've poured billions into it, and now they're laying folk off because they don't need you. They built the infrastructure. We don't need you now. So, but either way, where I'm going with this is you need to have a business. Now, we'd love to have you. We'd love for you to come and talk with us, because again, we need more people to teach people about money, teach people how money works. So Generational Wealth Builders, we're always looking for new people who want to enter our broker and training program. We have some amazing people here. We got Mr. Ozell Frazier up there in Union City, Tennessee. Again, looking for him to do some great things here this quarter. We got Miss Kanisha Dawson. She's here in the Covington, Tennessee area, Covington Ripley area. Again, waiting on her to bust a move and do some great stuff, right? And then we have down in South Florida, down there in the Treasure Coast, Richard and Lamisha Hughes. I often brag on them as they are America's next top power couple, right? Because they have the grit, the grind, the determination, and just the overall gumption to go out there and win for their families. They're working with a young lady, Sakayla Holden. She's down there in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Again, she's coming on. I can't wait to see what she does, because again, she's a competitor. She's she's just a tigress. But again, these are the kind of people that we have that are making income, right? They're making income. They're rivaling their day job with their part-time business, right? Now, again, you may say, Rod, that ain't for me, and that's fine, but you need something. That's what I want you to know, folks. You need something. You need to have something that's allowing you to make money. But let me help you now. If you got to spend all your money to make money, that's counterproductive. You get what I'm saying? You shouldn't have to spend thousands of dollars in order to get in business, right? Especially when you don't already have a market for it. Now, I'm just this free game now. Normally, I tell folk to get this here, right? But again, when you're looking at your business, if you find out that you're having to spend more than $500 to get in business, and you don't know what your return is going to be, folk, that's a little sticky icky. I hear folks say this all the time. Yeah, I'm finna go get me a truck. Okay. All right. Do you already have routes? But no, I ain't got no routes, but man, I know they out there. Okay. Are you gonna pay for the truck cash or you gonna lease it? Well, I'm thinking about this. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. So you don't even have no routes. You ain't even talked to a broker yet. And you're just gonna jump in the trucking industry. Yeah. When you don't even realize that the trucking industry right now is so saturated, even though there are shortages. But because it's oversaturated, what they pay per load has gone down. So you're willing to make this huge investment and you don't even know about it. You need something small. You need something that will allow you to be able to scale, right? In your free time, not going and committing your ways to a whole nother job, right? I see people that get off a day job and they go work a full-time job somewhere else, right? And you don't even realize, because you don't have a business, Uncle Sam getting a good portion of that money, and he gonna get you on the back end when you get ready to file your taxes, right? So again, that's why it's important to be in business with people that know how to do business, with people that have grown business, with people that consistently expand in business. Is vital for you to have your own business, and you need your own business. And so that's what I wanted to get on and talk with y'all today about. I said I wasn't going to be here long, but count them out, it's almost 30 minutes, right? But again, I hope you all have gotten some value from this that I've shared with you today. But again, again, the market is what it is. There's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do something about, you can focus on getting yourself together. You can focus on getting you a business and stacking that money to make sure, A, that you have at least 6 months of your bill money set to the side, B, that you're able to fund your own personal retirement, and C, that you have a personal life insurance policy that builds cash value that, again, you can put extra money into, that money grow at a greater interest rate. You need to have that. And again, your own business would allow you to be able to do that. And there's a very, 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 very well-renowned speaker, the late Mr. Jim Rohn. And he had this statement. And this statement, I thought it revolutionized the way I think. He said, your wages are for your bills. Your profit are for your dreams, right? Your wages are for your bills, right? Your job, the money you make on your day job, that pay for your house, your car, all that stuff like that, right? Your profits from your business fund your dreams. What do I mean by that? They help you, that those profits help you pay off your house. They help you pay off your car. So now you don't have a car note. So now you have more money that you can allocate towards your mortgage. And now you can reduce that debt. You get what I'm coming from? That's why you need to have your own business. And here we go again. Again, if you have it structured right, then you can avoid taxes and all that there. So again, that's how you fund, and that's how you get to financial independence. A job in our business, we call a job just over broke, because they give you just enough so you come on back next week, right? Some of y'all be, soon as that check hit, like, oh, okay, well, man, I'm gonna have to wait for this net check to hit, right? And again, I've been there, so I'm not talking from a place of condescending. I've been there living in the overdraft. I've done it, right? But I made a decision that, man, I can't keep doing this. And guess what? People aren't going to pay you what you think you're worth. They're only going to pay you what they say your time is worth. But you have to make sure that you show people that, no, you can't control all my time. And so that's why personally now, I give a job 8 and I'm at the door. Real talk now. Why? Because I have my business, and my business, as I told y'all last, just a little while ago, my business sustained me and my family while I didn't have a job, right? And then somebody called me with an offer I couldn't refuse. I couldn't refuse. Yeah, I know how I'm saying it, but I'm just letting y'all know I couldn't refuse, right? Because it was an offer that I didn't even look for. They called me like, hey, man, we see your credentials, so and so and so and so, ... Okay. Bet that. Show me the money. They showed me the money. And so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let me go do this. And now guess what we're doing? Now we told my wife, I retired my wife, like, nah, baby, you come now, work this business. You grow in this business. You have the same time that I had in this business to grow and expand, right? So now she's doing that. And guess what we're doing now? We're using our wages to be able to pay our bills. And we're using our profit to be able to eliminate our debt. That is how you achieve the American dream, right? That's how you get to the point where you save, you grow, and you make money. These are the kind of tools and resources that we give our clients as generational wealth builders, where we set them up for success. So listen, as I get ready to go, tomorrow we are acknowledging Dr. King's birthday. And I plan on doing a live where I talk a little bit about the dream, whether it's a nightmare or really a dream, right? Because I think there are a lot of people, again, that continue to not really respect this country, and that's neither here nor there, because I really don't care about that. I know that what we've been able to do in this country is great, and again, nobody will ever take that away, because I know I partner with some of the men and women that put their lives on the line to protect the democracy of this country. Even though we are a constitutional republic, but we put our lives on the line. But I say that to say, I want to talk a little bit about Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, because I don't think people even know it. I don't even think people even understand the power that was in that speech. And so that's what we're going to look at tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about that, just his dream, and for you, has it been a dream or is it a nightmare? Right. And we really just want to take a honest look at it. Right. And again, y'all, that's what we want to do, because again, I think what's happening is I think we're allowing a lot of noise to really dissuade us from looking at what's really going on. Right. I don't think that we have the type of racial climate like everybody say, because you can go to a basketball game or you can go to a sporting event, and guess what? You'll find people of all ethnic groups loving on one another. Let somebody hit a shot. Did you see that, bro? And then they hugging and bumping chest. So again, I just don't think it's like that. But again, that's just me. That's how I see it. I won't say that it's not out there. I just don't think it is like everybody say. I think what you talk about the most is what you major on. What you major on is what you see the most. So either way, long story short, I plan on doing that tomorrow sometime. So hopefully you'll join me for that. But either way, if you got some value from this, like, share. Again, let somebody know about it. Again, we will be here. We will be in the office tomorrow. Again, it's Martin Luther King Day. But we're here. We're working, because our goal is to make sure that you are educated on how to save, grow, and make money. All right, that's my time. I'm Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Listen, we always love bringing this information and this content to you, and we thank you for all of our supporters. May y'all have a good, wonderful day, and God bless. Take care.